Thanks everybody for coming. Our talk today is going commando. Just to give you an idea, so we're defining going commando as trying to live as much as your life as possible in the command line, trying to do away with the pesky GUIs, X server, graphics drivers, all that horrible crap. We're going to show you how to get away from it. This is an opinionated guide. Most of the things we're going to demo for you, there's a dozen different alternatives. You know, geeks like, if there's 10 ways to do something, they'll make it 11. This is an opinionated guide. These are what we think are the best ways to do it, but there are, in many cases, some alternatives. So who are we?
All right. So this is Bob. Bob's the good-looking one, obviously. He helps me co-host the local 2600 meeting at Arch Reactor. We're both founding members of Arch Reactor, which is the St. Louis hackerspace. He's also a local startup guru in the St. Louis area. So kind of a bigwig, important guy right here.
This is Joe. He's the other good-looking one. He's the founder and current president of the Arch Reactor hackerspace. He was kind of the guy who started trying to resurrect the STL 2600 meeting, and I assist with that where I can. He's actually an information security professional for Washington University, and he takes going commando much more seriously than I do, to just a really unhealthy extent, because he is a very stubborn human being. I don't know if any of you ever read Neil Stephenson's essay, In the Beginning Was the Command Line. If you haven't, you should check it out. It's great. It'll explain why we're doing this.
So, in answer to the question why would we do this? It's dark, it's scary down there. Well, because there are several reasons. It's generally faster when you know what you're doing down there. Things can be more accurate, which we'll get into. It really impresses your bosses, because I can have so much as HTOP just running in my terminal, and I'll have my boss walk by. Oh, that's interesting. What are you doing? Working hard, definitely. Makes you smarter, clearly, because we're up here doing it. Saves your asses when things break. That's true, because when I originally did this project, I broke my laptop and I had to SSH into it to fix it, and I had to do it all command line. Saves your ass when things break. You also look cool. You look like a movie hacker. We all want to be that movie hacker, obviously. Also makes you more sexually attractive. 100% facts. Check Wikipedia. I promise you it's out there.
Wikipedia confirms.
See? Told you.
So what we're going to cover today, functioning in an office environment, just how to do calendar mail, all those kind of day-to-day tasks you have to do to work, basic dealing with the internet, and consuming media. We're not going to talk about
basic command line usage. There's a whole other workshop. Ben's doing that tomorrow. I encourage you to attend. We're also not going to be talking about specific shells, terminal emulators, VI versus Emacs. No religious wars in this conversation. No PowerShell, sorry. You can put Ubuntu on Windows now, so there you go.
Okay, start it off. We're going to talk about TMUX. Alternative, I don't know if any of you use Screen. You shouldn't. You should use TMUX now, unless you need a serial terminal. The reason you're going to want to use TMUX is because it's essentially what allows you to do multitasking, backgrounding, that sort of thing in the terminal. Without TMUX, you're basically limited to running one process at a time. And if a shell gets killed, SSH session dies, that process is gone. With TMUX, you can have multiple windows open. You can have multiple sessions, multiple panes side by side, all that sort of stuff. It's definitely kind of a power tool for the terminal. We're going to show a demo. Real quick, to kind of introduce the demos, we've recorded all these in software called a Skinema. I don't know if that's how you pronounce that, ASCII Cinema. It's basically a screen recording software for the terminal. Plays back in the Git repo for this talk. All of these recordings are there. You can play them back yourself at half speed or whatever if you want to see us type really slowly. You want to start it off, Joe? Starting off TMUX, really easy, TMUX. First I'm going to show you how backgrounding. So you'll see I'm going to echo start, sleep, and then echo done. Long running task here. So I start it, I detach, or an SSH session gets killed, load back in, TMUX attach, and you can see process is still running, and now it's done. So if that was a long running command, you've just saved yourself from having to restart it. You can see I'm starting out multiple panes there. So there I've got a vertical split and a horizontal split. You can imagine you have an editor in one, a command console in the other, all sorts of things. You can move between them using several different things. I have mine set up for Vim keys. The default just use arrows. You can also just cycle through them. This is showing different windows. So you'll see down at the bottom we've got tabs. So I've got 3 kind of windows open with a bunch of different panes inside each one. Another way to break down and organize. Last thing I'm going to show you is sessions. So I've just opened up an entirely new session, an entirely new set of windows. It's basically like just another kind of workspace layer. You can switch back and forth between them. I tend to use that to separate projects. So at any given time, I'll have 20 different TMUX sessions open, one for each project. It's just a really easy way to separate it. Copy and paste, the last thing I'm going to demo here. It's really easy. You go into select mode, move around with the arrow keys, select the text you want, copy, paste it somewhere else. If you need to paste output from a terminal command.
Sorry, I just wanted to ask. You said that why use screen at all? Why not use TMUX for serial, like you mentioned?
TMUX doesn't support serial.
Oh.
They consider that adding bloat to their software. So they said they flat out they won't ever do it.
Yep. And that's it. That's the demo. The last thing we were talking there is copy and paste, so there's not much there.
So, whoa.
There you go.
I hadn't started it. I screwed up.
So you wrote a script that's playing your text back?
Yeah,
We didn't write it.
We didn't write it.
Okay.
In fact, they've even got like a server side where you can upload them and embed them into web pages and play back as an embedded video, except it's still text, so you can actually copy and paste from the embedded video. It's a really handy tool. I've already done that. Next up, we're going to talk about, like I said, what we said at the beginning, this is going to be about operating in an office environment. We all probably work from cubicles. If you're really lucky, you have an office, and that's probably a Microsoft Office in most cases. So how do you do going commando from an office environment? Well, first off, it's probably email and instant messaging. Essential communications in every office environment. First task is MUT. MUT's the email client I choose. This is the genesis for this talk. It was when I switched to MUT. I got so angry with Outlook one day. I closed it out, put Arch Linux on my work desktop, and started using MUT. I was that angry. I refer to it as the email hobby kit because yes, it does all your basic email like POP and IMAP, but to really make it functional, you got to add on a whole lot of extra stuff. But you do have your basic functionality. You do command line scripting. I'm actually starting to like a lot of the template emails I send out. I write with. I started writing scripts for like standard requests and stuff, so I just have to run that. I'm literally replacing parts of my job with a small shell script. But to make MUT truly great, there's a couple things you need. NeoMUT, you need a contact manager, something to look up your addresses. The URL scraper helps you. All these are really helpful tools. DAVMel's really nice. I'm fortunate enough that I have IMAP access to our exchange, but if you don't, DAVMel is an exchange gateway. It'll connect to your exchange server, you provide the configuration, and then it'll provide you an IMAP gateway to it. Also, CalDev, access to your calendar on Exchange. But I'm not responsible if you piss off your messaging department. That's all on you. But so this is just a quick diagram that I put together of how it all fits together. When you create a mail, if you're using an offline IMAP, which is just an offline cacher, to send your mail, or you're going through your Outlooks, which your contacts, which sync through, again, all those cloud services that you may have. You can take a closer look at this if you go ahead and download the presentation. But let's do a quick demo of MUT. We're going to hopefully speed through this because everybody knows how email works. But as I said, I'm using NeoMut in this case. The first thing you'll notice right away is there is a sidebar. I've got some mail folders, I'm sure we all do, to sort stuff out. We're going to get rid of that to save some screwed in real estate. I'm going to flip over. You're going to see I'm flipping over to another email account. This is my Arch Reactor account, my presidential account. You see the color change. I've got different color themes assigned to each account, so I know which one I'm at a glance. Making mail is a simple M key. I type in Bob's last name, hit tab, it searches for it. I find the email address I want. Enter in the subject line, obviously. Because he's just a handsome fellow, isn't he? You can use whatever editor you want to edit your email. Of course, I'm using Vim. You'll notice at the bottom, there's a signature pre-populated. Signatures are supported. There's just a text file you're pointing to, and a config file. Exit out of this. Bob and I are both security guys, so I'm going to encrypt it. I hit P, gives me the security menu at the bottom. I hit E to encrypt. I've already got his key loaded. PGP encrypted email from the command line. The only thing it'll do, it'll ask me to confirm his key. I hit yes to that, and boom, he gets the mail sent. And he got it, and he's able to decode it. Other things I can do, like I said, it's an office environment. You get a lot of attachments. Usually they're in like Microsoft Word or some other Office document. So I got a sample in here. You see this sample email that I made. At the bottom, you'll see there's a docx file attached. It's just an example or original.x. I view my attachments. Go ahead and click, select it, hit enter. Holy crap! I'm reading a Word document. Granted, that's gibberish, but it's a lorem ipsum. They use that for testing formatting and stuff in magazines. But I'm reading a Word document in my email. It's an attachment. We'll show you how to do that later, but the point is you can do it. Other big problem I have, I get a lot of emails. Like I got Blue Apron, I subscribe to it, I really like it. But when I want to check my meal, what I'm getting this week, they give me these really obnoxious URLs to the menu, to the recipes, to look what I'm getting. So what do? Well, if I hit Control B, it'll load up a URL scraper that I've loaded. I'm using URL scan. It just scrapes the email for any URLs it finds, and you just page through, select the one you want. It'll open it up in your default browser. Whatever you have.
Links?
What's that?
You open it up with links.
Not here. But we do it later. Yes, I do.
Can you strip out the Google crap in front of it to take the...
I haven't played with it. I haven't bothered to do that yet. It's you spend as much time on your email as you did back in the 90s when it was new and you were forwarding chain letters. The actual amount of time spent on email just configuring, you do the same thing.
Sure.
Next up is the other thing we gotta do in office communications, instant messaging. Now, I'm not just talking AIM and stuff, but everybody's got to deal with Skype for Business or whatever, Link, whatever it's called. So how do we handle that? Well, I use a tool called Biddleby. Biddleby is basically, it's a mini IRC server you can run on your system. And I've actually got it tied into a bouncer. So even when I'm not logged in, it's still logged in for me. Handles pretty much all your instant messaging clients. It supports libpurple, which is in Pigeon. So if you've ever used Pigeon, all those protocols it supports, Biddleby will support, which really makes it handy. This is just this is a list of pretty much everything that's natively supported. The exception of AIM. I mean, rest in peace, AIM. But yeah, I haven't even heard of some of these, but they're out there and the support's there. More importantly, though, it supports SIPI, the SIPI protocol, which is the instant messaging protocol for Link and Skype for Business. And that's what we're going to use here. Quick little demo to show you how it all works. Pick your favorite IRC client. I use WeChat. I'm just going to go ahead and connect to my Biddleby server. Excuse me real quick. And when I'm connected, you see I got my buddy list on the side there. I account SIPI. Here's all my settings. The really important thing to note there is there's a user agent that defines which version of Exchange you're using. That's kind of the weird configuration you got to do for it. You'll also see I've also got a Hangout session configured because some people still insist on contacting me on that. Can't get them over to Signal just yet. But messaging is just like you'd message in IRC. So I had my buddy Randy standing by. He's a good friend of mine. Work with him. MSG, the username and your message, and it sends. There he is. Responds. Hello. I got a chat session with him. That's simple. Say hello there. So Randy says hello. I took the liberty of responding for you. But it's the same thing, like I said, Hangouts, so Bob's on Hangouts. I can go ahead and message him. I mean, you see who's connected. I know he's online. While I'm waiting for him to respond, I can go ahead and pull an info. You watch, I'll pull an info on Randy. It actually goes through the link protocol and and queries the gal and pulls his information. So you can see Randy's there, Randy's information. You can see he's a technical support specialist. Basically, he's a desktop support tech. So it's pulling that straight from our corporate directory. Same thing with Bob. If I want to message him, I made a typo. I made typos. I'm only human. At least for now. A few more upgrades. Bob's info. So Randy's fun. He thinks you guys are mean. You should call them ugly. I don't know why you guys would do that. But, Bob's like, why would you do this? We have a conversation. You can see we're flipping back. I'll start flipping back and forth between conversations, like you would any other. This is yours. Like you would any other IRC session. It's very simple. As far as I can tell, unless they invite me to like a video conference or something, nobody's any the wiser on the other end. Has been my experience. And shortly around this point is where I forgot I was actually recording stuff. Yeah.
Does this support Slack?
Slack has an RRC gateway built in. So if you're in a Slack channel and they don't have it turned on, just ask whoever the moderator is, they'll turn it on. I've never had anyone not do it.
Right.
They've also got a Jabber client which this supports, or Jabber gateway. Anyway, that's Biddleby. What's next? Pandoc. So you saw me open up a Word document before. Let's learn how that magic went. First of all, like I said, we're going to have to go through an entire Office suite. If you want to work in an Office environment, we'll cover all these bases. Like I said, documenting. Somebody keeps sending you bloated Word docs. You know what? Your basic Word document, your basic docx file, completely empty, just an empty docx file, 2K. That's how big it is. That's outrageous. I have an IBM XT with like a 30 meg hard drive. I wouldn't stand for that kind of stuff. Also, another benefit, you never have to look at Comic Sans ever again, unless you want to. But Pandoc's how we do all this. It's not really a interface, but more of a conversion tool. It'll convert pretty much any document into another document. You can, more importantly, docx. Pretty much every format you've heard of, HTML, docx, all of those, plus several others I've never heard of. Bob hasn't heard of them either. I don't know what these are, but they'll do it. Like the actual list is huge. These are just the weird ones that I saw there. But we'll do a couple of quick demos of how this works. Excuse me. So first off, somebody sends me this abstract for a paper or presentation. The default output is HTML. So if you don't specify otherwise, it'll output to HTML. So I just pipe it into links, and I can view the document. That's basically what I'm doing. I've got just a command in my configuration that does that. Instead, if I want to read an ebook, it supports ebooks, EPUB. I can go ahead and load up Cory Doctorow's Little Doctor, flip through it, get back to where I am. Because I'm in links, I can also bookmark where I'm at, Get out of that. Now let's say, but somebody, there's a typo. Somebody sent you something, you're like, this ain't right. So I want to convert over the doc, convert it over to something I can actually edit in the command line. Personally, I love Markdown. That's my favorite markup language right now. I love typing it. So I just convert it over to a working document in Markdown, edit it, I can make my changes. Go in there, say that, Dave and Kate didn't want their real names in there, I can go back and edit them. They decide to use their handles instead because it's that kind of conference. So zero cool, acid burn. And then once that change is made, go ahead and convert it back. Just because I don't want to lose the original, I'll mark it as the revised version. And so I'll go ahead and I'll open it back up. Well, first of all, I can open it, and yeah, you'll see me open it here. I can open it back up in links. But are you really going to believe me that I've made these changes? That could be anything. It could just be a text document. But there's the actual document that I made the changes to. Granted, I'm in LibreOffice, but this is the docx file, the one that you're just looking at. There it is, zero cool, acid burn. The formatting's there. It's a legit Word document. Next up, so reference document. This is extremely helpful. There are certain documents where I work, PR department, if I'm putting out something public, it's got to have the PR department approved header and everything like that. You can actually make a reference document, basically an empty template. Kind of call it kind of like a CSS file, and when you convert, you can use that and it will adjust the formatting. So this is an example from the Pandoc website where it actually just pulls the manual for Pandoc and converts it to a docx user file. Here's the original. Here's the converted file. Where's my mouse? Hold on. And but here's the reference file, just for reference. You see, it's just 2-column formatted, and it imported that formatting. So when I need to have the company logo and everything at the top, that's a lifesaver for me. One last little trick. You see this example 30, whatever. So that's a document that actually has. I'm going to show you. Hold on. It actually has a math formula in it. How am I going to do that in the command line, you might think? That's crazy. Granted, it's not perfect, but I convert it into Markdown. Granted, it's not Markdown, but it converts it to latex format for me. It's not perfect, but I can make it out. So I can figure out what those symbols mean. Frac is a fraction. Caret for the power of whatever. Lets me get my job done, and I can make whatever changes and port it back. Fortunately, I don't have to deal with formulas, but I like to know I have the option. So that's Pandoc. That's a life-saving tool for me.
So a lot of us who are deal with, I do data work, a lot of stuff like that, so I end up dealing with a lot of CSVs, tabular data, that sort of thing. Spreadsheets. First spreadsheet was VisiCalc, but they've kind of come a long way and got a lot more bloated. Still carrying the torch for the command terminal spreadsheet, though, is SC, and we're going to talk about SC Improved today. It's a full-featured spreadsheet, can interact with all the formats you'd expect. It even includes some basic formatting options. Open it up, SCIM, just kind of like you'd expect. You can navigate around using arrow keys or Vim key bindings. It's really easy. Inserting text, you can either, as I'm about to do here, do left justified or right justified text. That's one of the basic formatting options. So you're inserting some left justified text, inserting right,
What's the plan? You actually use this regularly.
I do actually use this regularly. CSV files that Excel or Google Docs or LibreOffice will absolutely choke on, this has no problem with. It's so much more lightweight than any of those.
You have a commas in fields.
What's that?
Commas within fields, you have those.
Yeah, it'll quote the field, it'll treat it like a normal CSV. So you can see I added some numbers here, and I'm about to add a formula just to sum up the column. Exactly like you'd expect, just say sum. You'll see the sum is now 30, and if I go back and change one of the numbers that I summed, it's going to pop it up and changes it down to 20.
Can you hide columns?
I don't know the answer to that. I've never.
Sometimes
Yeah.
you have things at the front you want to look at, and then a bunch of shit in the middle, and then the thing at the end. And you don't want to have to go. You can't see it on an Excel spreadsheet, right? So,
If you can, I don't know that.
all right.
With as versatile as it is, I'd be surprised if you can't.
Yeah.
It's a shockingly versatile spreadsheet tool for something that's in the command line. So next up, one of the things I overlooked real quick when I switched over to Mud, I took for granted was my calendar. If you're going to go full Commando like I am, you need to take that in consideration. So there are a few options out there. I had to really weigh the feature set, figure out which one was which. So I decided to figure out what my requirements were. First and foremost, I needed CalDev syncing because I have Google calendars, I have my work calendar. I needed them all to sync together and be in the one screen. I needed to handle multiple calendars, just like I said. I've got multiple. I don't want to have to change config files or anything like that. I'd really like a simple terminal user interface so I can edit things very easily. The command line options would be nice. I'm not really using it, but I'd like to be able to script things, add reminders to my calendar if I need to, especially through Mud. If somebody sends me something, I can do that. But most importantly, I need something named after a Game of Thrones character. So that really left only one option in the end, and that was Cal. So in addition to Cal, the secret sauce behind Cal is another application called VDR Syncer. It is specifically it's an application tool that syncs specifically with CalDev and CardDev. I also use it with the other application Card, which is my contact manager. You can set it to sync manually, just from the command line, or you can set a cron chop or a systemd timer to do it. Whatever floats your boat. Their goal is to be the offline IMAP of CalDev. So that's the secret sauce behind it, but it's just all behind the scenes, so it's not really very visually interesting. But I'm going to show you real quick how Cal works. And Cal's pretty simple. Like I said, I wanted a very basic terminal. Looks like a calendar. Move the arrow keys around. You select your day. I hit enter on a specific day. I can go ahead and browse through the agenda side. Pretty self-explanatory. If I hit T, it always jumps back to today. T in a minute. If I hit V, I can actually select arrange days. It's like visual mode and Vim. If I want to need a multi-day event. If I need to export something, say I want to invite somebody to PhreakNIC, I just hit E. I can export it as an ICS file. I can email that as an invite through MUT if I choose. I can also do a quick search. Just /key brings up a plain text search window. Search. I got last year's PhreakNIC and this year's. I hit enter. It gives me the information. If it's actually within the day, it'll give me the time range and everything like that. Setting a new event is equally as easy. You just hit end for new event. Given that this is all pretty basic, no-brainer stuff. You give it the event name. You can put in a location, so all with the CalDev standard. Yes, this is the going commando talk. It's going to be at PhreakNIC 21. I ain't worried about categories, descriptions. Date's right, beginning time's right. We're only supposed to have 50 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and change that. If I needed to repeat it, I've got standard repeat options: daily, weekly, monthly. How long, whether it's until end of the year, a specific date, whatever. Pick my day of the week. Basically anything you have in your basic, any other calendar app. I'm not going to worry about that now, but I can go ahead and save this. You'll see it pops up on the calendar for me, right there, going Commando. If I hit P, it'll actually duplicate it. So I got a copy of it there. D deletes it. Granted, it doesn't delete it right away, but you see it marks it with a little D. That D marks for deletion. I've actually got to save and get out of here. When I come back in, it'll actually be gone. So you'll see, pop out, come back in, and you'll see it's gone. Ta-da! All right, so that's Cal. That was my calendar solution. But
Can you invite people who would have misfortune of having to work with Outlook?
yeah, because Outlook supports CalDev.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, basically anything that somebody sends me pretty much automatically shows up there when I sync it. I've just got a job. Next up, we've got so far we've got our email, we've got our Office documents, we've got a spreadsheet, we've got a calendar. What are we missing? Missing one thing. Presentations. MDP.
I don't know that we need more of a demo. That's what this whole presentation is written in.
This is it.
Cool.
You're looking at.
It is markdown. It is really easy to write. It's just you insert a page separator between each slide, and it includes some custom formatting options for centering text and things like that.
Yeah, it was when I found this tool that I was like, this might be possible. I might actually never have to use GUI again. When I realized there was a presentation option.
So how true are you to that? Do you still flip over to PowerPoint now and then? Or?
Oh, I never used PowerPoint. I didn't use PowerPoint before. I liked Google Docs better because it was just always, it was everywhere because I could just open a browser. I've since switched to this. Yeah, so next up, yeah, go ahead.
Next up, we've mentioned it a little bit, web browsing. People are familiar with Lynx, LYNX, the old text browser. There's a handful of newer ones. Lynx, LINKS2, I think is the best current one right now, although with the new, both Chrome and Firefox now have headless options, and I suspect we'll see kind of text modes for those come out in the not too near future.
We're starting to see some projects in GitHub.
Yeah, for that sort of thing. So I'm going to show you a real quick demo of that. Just kind of show you that it does in fact work. So open up links, go to URL, we're going to go to Google, search for, navigate down to the Google search box, and search for PhreakNIC. I'm wondering what's on the schedule for this conference. There we go, click on the link, just hit enter to click on links, find the sessions. Wonder if there's that Going Commando one, that sounds pretty interesting. And there we go. There's very limited JavaScript support, alert text boxes, the kind of the basic stuff, but it is a functional web browser. What if you want to keep up with all of your internet celebrities, your Taylor Swifts, Kardashians, all that? You want to be on Twitter, and I have got you covered. Yes, the command line Twitter client, and contender for worst open source project name in history. So try to find it. It's impossible. I'm going to open up a TMUX session first, just because one of the things that's really convenient to do is have multiple panes. So first thing I'm going to stream is my my timeline, the home Twitter feed you see, all the people you followed. There we go. That's a section of my timeline that'll update live. It has other options for piping that into other things in machine readable formats, that sort of stuff. You can just get it as a snapshot. I've got another stream. I'm from St. Louis. I like to keep up with what's going on. And so I'm going to open up my St. Louis list, which is a bunch of local people that I know and kind of want to see what's happening with them. Might miss it in the general feed. So we have that open. You want to post? Really easy. T update. Post a new update. It also has commands for show you following people, unfollowing, DMing. It is a full-featured way to interact with Twitter. It is trivially scriptable. So if you want to do a lot of hackerspaces, including ours, has a little switch that when someone comes in, it turns on and posts on Twitter. This is a great tool for scripting those kinds of interactions. So that is T, the Twitter client. What about Reddit? I don't know if anyone else spends too much time on Reddit. I certainly do. RTV, the Reddit terminal viewer, is a very full-featured Reddit app that runs in the terminal and is actually very usable. You can browse, view and post comments, post links, self-post, interact, that sort of thing. We'll throw up a real quick demo of this. Here's my homepage. You can scroll up and down using Vim keys, just like you'd expect. This is the homepage. What if I want to go look at a subreddit? Open up Ask Reddit here. You can open up user profiles, things like that. It has good displays for all of them. Scroll down, find something interesting I want to look at, click on it. Here's the comments. Really easy. You can scroll up and down. You can collapse the comments to, if you're reading through someone's AMA, you can look, collapse, see question, answer, really easy. I was practicing this and I browsed around too much, so I'm just going to go ahead and kill this demo. There we go.
We skipped these.
Did we? I didn't. Sorry.
It's not there. So, one last thing. I mean, Reddit and Twitter's all nice, fine and nice, but how am I going to watch my cat videos? I got to watch those. As a cord cutter, I am increasingly dependent on streaming services like YouTube. So, how am I going to do that from here? You think that's impossible, but no. There's actually a terminal user interface for YouTube called MPS-YouTube. I don't know what happened to our slides on it, but it's just a full TUI for YouTube. You can do comments and everything like that. You can even download videos with another tool called YouTube-DL, which, as you might figure out, downloads YouTube videos. And then some. It actually lets you download. It's got I think last count, if I remember the slide clearly, 1,061 different streaming sites. That includes like PBS and local network channels and things like that. And porn. But it lets you, you can download those, view them, and everything like that. We do have a demo load up for just that. You'll see, I'll load up MPS YouTube. Go ahead and load it, and we get say I gotta have my weekly John Oliver. So go ahead and search for that, see if there's any new ones. Okay, the Floods one. I haven't seen that one yet. Let's see if anybody good. Is there a lot of hate mail on it in the comments? We can check that. Check out, see how new it is, when it was posted. Okay, it was posted just last week. I've also got description, YouTube URL. So I'm going to go ahead and add that to a playlist. Add one. Adds it to a local playlist. I also haven't seen the second one. Don't think I've seen the. Haven't seen the third one.
Our notes got all messed up.
Yeah, apparently our notes got messed up. So yeah, there's a few of them I have messed. So I just go ahead and create a playlist. I can save that playlist, save it as demo. I can look see what other playlists I have saved when I do the LS command. If I had more, it would be all listed there. If I hit play and then just the name of the playlist, it would go ahead and play it for me. I can also just hit play URL, put in the actual YouTube URL. That's something I could actually incorporate into Mutt or something like that. If somebody said, hey, check out this awesome URL, you just incorporate it into this. It actually uses YouTube download. We'll actually use whatever command you specify. So if you just say open a browser and load the YouTube, that's fine. But we're going Commando, so we're going to download it and view it that way. But so you can actually so you've got your command line options there. That's pretty much all there is to it. It's just it's a terminal interface for YouTube. On the subject of YouTube, we're going to. Media consumption. I don't know about you, but so there it is. Oh, yeah, so our slides are out of order. So much time we spent. Simple fuck up. All right. No, we're not there. Did we skip over Moppity?
Well, it's RSS now. Do it.
Okay, so one last thing on the internet. Every other website, RSS feed. I follow my blogs and everything like that. I'm sorry, I didn't have a really good joke. There's not a lot of good RSS humor. Oh shit, not a lot of good RSS humor out there. So this is Newsboat. Newsboat, it's an RSS client. They kind of call it the mutt of RSS readers, and that's a very accurate description. You can see it looks very similar. The color scheme's mine, but you know but otherwise it looks like mud. You get your URLs, browse them. It also syncs with several. If you already have an RSS reader, like when Google abandoned theirs and all the replacements came out, like Old Reader and stuff, I use Tiny RSS myself. It syncs with that. But I can browse my articles, open them up, and I see with pipe through links, LYNX. You know, we don't agree on everything. You'll see it's constantly syncing at the bottom. You can adjust how the frequency of that. The other thing is that just happened to be a Reddit feed. I can actually pop it out to RTV, which we mentioned earlier. So because it was a Reddit feed, I can just pass that URL to RTV and view it in that client instead. If it's a YouTube URL, I gotta pass it to MPS. Any other tools you find? One last thing is, not last thing, but there's also filtering and tags and querying. I've got my tags to match what I've got in my folder structure in Tiny RSS reader. So yeah, my organization's a little unorthodox, but it works, so it just queries that. So you can just see us flip through. You just hit the F key, let you flip through them. Then you can go back to the original when you're done, the full list. I'm sure you can tell, I rely heavily on RSS. But the nice thing about it is you can set up queries and stuff so that things you're not interested in, you can blacklist and it'll discard for you. Things you are interested in, it'll just show you those. You can have custom feeds that way. Another thing, Control B, if I find an article I want to read later, I can bookmark it, Control B. All I have to do is hit that, gives me the URL, I confirm that, confirm the title, description if I want one, other stuff saves it. Right now, that can actually go out to any command you want. Right now I just have an echo command to a simple text file. And you'll see here, I'll just cat it out. And the last three, those are the ones that just bookmarked that you saw. Simple as that. But if you had it, for instance, I know there for a fact if you use Pocket, there are Pocket command line interface clients out there on GitHub. You can just redirect to one of those instead. Moppity. So we all need our tunes. I gotta have my music when I listen. Kind of the de facto command line is using an MPD client, not MDP. That's our presenting software. MPD is a music server. Why it's a server client thing? That's the advantages aren't immediately obvious. The one in particular I use is called Moppity, and there's a reason for that. It's extremely extensible. So there are a lot of plugins for it. And because of that, there are plugins for just about every music service that I need. Grant, I only sometimes use Pandora and I mostly use Spotify, but there are all these. You've also got DLNA. If you have a media server at home, you can use that. Google Music, I know I've got some friends that are very big fans of that. Banshee, Internet Archive it'll pull stuff from. It also does podcasting, which I'm also a very big fan of. You also need a client to access it. The kind of de facto standard on that is NCMP-CPP. It's a C++ version of another client called NCMP. But it's kind of like the go-to client for this. And so just a quick review of how that works. We'll go ahead and load it. Granted, I've got a password on it because I'm a security guy. I password protect everything. But as you can see, switch over. I've got my Pandora. I can go through my Pandora channels if I want. And I just add them. More importantly, I've got my podcasts. I've got Spotify. Go ahead and check the top artists globally and look through who's popular right now because I'm very detached to that kind of thing. I'm not a teenager anymore. All those playlists there, those are all my Spotify playlists that it goes ahead and imports in for me. Bottom line is, I've got all my music streaming services in one screen. That's very important to me. I don't have to flip between applications or windows or anything like that, or browsers. Other thing is, you can actually do search. It's got a very nice search database function. Taylor Swift, I promise you, there is no Taylor Swift in my current library. So all of that you saw came straight from Spotify. It did a search and actually queried Spotify's database. Load a playlist, just simple as hitting enter. You can see I've got about 500 songs in here. It's about a day and just shy of 2 days. But you know what? PhreakNIC's a 3-day conference. I need more music than that if I need tunes for my entire time here. So we're going to go back. We're going to add a couple more. So now, all right, 1,500 songs, 5 days. That's plenty to get me through PhreakNIC. So if I want, I'll switch over to my playlist editor. And I go ahead and I hit S. I'll save the playlist. Call it my PhreakNIC mix. All good hacking electronic music. And there it is in my list of playlists. PhreakNIC mix. One last function I want to show you. Clear this out. I'm going to go ahead because electronic music, not a lot of lyrics. I'm going to quickly load my 80s playlist. When you listen to your playlist, your jam comes on. You want to like really get in and groove to it. So you just scroll down to it. You hit the L key. It actually searches and pulls up the lyrics for you.
Come on, man.
It never stops being funny for me. Never.
My son either. I think I've been ripped from about 3 times in the last week.
We had a bit of a section on torrents here. We are almost out of time.
Yeah, find us later. We'll talk to you about it.
So there is a good terminal torrent client.
It's basically a torrent client. Does everything you want.
So if you wanted to look at images, you might think, well, there's no possible way I'm going to get away without having to open up an X server for that. You would be wrong. Bunch of different things that'll do this. T-image is probably the easiest. Arch Linux logo. I'm an Arch Linux fan. Pop it open there.
How do you know you're an Arch Linux user? It's helpful.
I'll tell you. So view ASCII-fied images in your terminal. You just saw the demo for that there. If you wanted to do some touch-up, I'm going to skip this demo too. I don't know if any of you are familiar with ImageMagick or Graphics Magic.
TIMG is just a very basic.
Basically,
all it does is view the images
Yep.
and ASCII. There's a lot of options for that though.
Swiss Army knife for editing images. So I'll just show you one of the things here. I think most people are familiar with this. Use it as part of a build system for preparing web images. Apply kind of standard transformations to a bunch of different stuff. What's that?
You use this at work, right?
Yeah, we do. We actually use it as part of our build process. So this is just cropping an image. There you go. There's a number of other operations that you can do. It's a pretty great toolkit. I think you're all bored by now, so who wants to watch a movie? VLC, but in the terminal. Most people know VLC. It actually does include a terminal output mode. Let's take a look at that. So this is using an output mode called libcaca. So we're setting some options on that. CVLC is just VLC with no user interface attached to it, so it's going to open it up in a terminal. And there we go.
Never not funny.
That's the best. Rick roll.
The last thing we were going to talk about is editing videos, but we'll go ahead and cut that too. Most people know FFmpeg, kind of like ImageMagick. It's the standard command line tool for dealing with things. Re-encode images, cut time, cut for time, scale up and down. Just kind of a couple of things you can do with that. And that's it. Any questions?
So first off, I want to congratulate you on bringing back Gopher. It's fantastic.
Did we?
It's just awesome. So what are you guys using? Are you using any languages to be able to actually script everything out, or are you writing in Python and using some of these tools to drive?
When I do scripting, it's usually like, oh, just got to get this done and get this working. So I'll do Bash.
Bash mostly.
Occasionally, if I have to do it with an API, I'll probably go Python. Like, I'm an InfoSec guy. I'm not a coder. He's the coder, so everything he does is probably in JavaScript and Node.
And I use ZSH for terminal scripting. It's a little bit more powerful.
Any other questions?
Actually, I did the, I guess the music server with the client. You're connecting out to, say like Spotify, Pandora. Is that through APIs that they provide, or is it?
Yes, it uses the APIs that the streamer provides. So yeah, the
And
Pandora.
I think for Spotify, you have to have an account, right?
Yeah, Spotify you have to have
Yeah.
a premium account. I don't think it allows the radio functionality, but you can search and make playlists. And Pandora was a little weird. Like I had to get like some sort of API ID to pretend it was an Android file device or something like that to make it work. It's all in the documentation on the site though, so it wasn't hard to set up. I mean, it looks a little confusing in the configuration file, but the documentation was pretty solid.
Excellent. Yeah, that was because I was looking at it, I was like, what if there's something behind the scenes? Like probably an API.
Yeah, it's all API hooks and stuff like that. There's some other stuff like there's an alarm clock plugin and stuff too, so it's not all just like for streaming and stuff, but they're out there. Yeah, it's actually really well documented. Any other questions? Okay, great.
Thank you all for coming.
Yeah.